And welcome on in. It is another edition of Lunch with Claibs and Joe, live from Mungenast Alton Toyota here in Alton, Illinois. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Mike Claiborne, who I don't know. Are you breaking another Cardinal trade over there, or what are you
trying to just do some business, little house business?
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm here.
All right, yeah.
How are you?
850 Homer Adams Parkway is where we are. Mungenast. Well, if you look at some of the signs here, Mungenast Burkhart Alton Toyota, but some of the signs still say the Mungenast Alton Toyota name on it. Hopefully, Jamie Burkhart will stop by at some point in the show today and talk to us a little bit about all of the. They already got 2022s coming here on the lot out here at Mungenast. So.
Cars to choose from, and this used car business is huge right now. So if you're thinking about trading yours in for another nice car here, or maybe you need to get a used car for one of the youngins, this is a good spot because they've got a big variety of both new and used cars here.
Yeah, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Mungenast Alton Toyota, and sponsored by Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. Find him online at thehomeloanexpert.com. Lots to get into. Let's just get it started with the news that broke Friday night. Should be made official either later today or early tomorrow. That is, the Cardinals got their third baseman. They have another middle of the order bat, another Gold Glover in the organization, Nolan Arenado. The rumors of the last 2 years have finally come true. Your initial thoughts on the Cardinals finally going out and pulling the trigger on this?
Well, I never thought we'd come back to this. I really didn't. You heard some other teams that were interested, the Dodgers, the Braves. And I thought we'd moved on from it, especially when you have Nolan Gorman, a guy who you have been touting since you drafted him to be your next third baseman. And then all of a sudden this presents itself. And I got to tell you, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised. And I think it really opens up the door for a lot of different opportunities for the organization, because if you get Arenado, you think he's going to be with you at least 3 or 4 years minimum?
I mean, right now, so at least 2 now. Like, we know for sure, if you have read the details or you believe the details that we've heard, is that he will extend the opt-out clause in the contract to at least be here through 2022, and then it kind of goes from there with what the contract would be like. But so you at least have him for 2 years, but yeah, possibly 3 or 4, and there could be some renegotiating, which when they went out and when the Cardinals got Paul Goldschmidt, there was no guarantee at the time that he was here for the long haul, and the Cardinals immediately went to work and signed him on to the long-term extension. So that Nolan Arenado's here, and by all accounts, it seems like he's wanted to be here for a very long time, having conversations with Yadi, a longtime friendship with Paul Goldschmidt, and other contacts with players in the Cardinals organization, that this is a spot that he has wanted to be and he has thought about being in for a while.
Yeah, it seems like the moon and stars have truly aligned in this situation. And, obviously it's something that you build your team around. I mean, now you may be a little right-handed heavy, but you've got 2 switch hitters in your batting order now. So hopefully
3.
Carlson,
Fowler, and Edman.
Yeah, I'm thinking the future.
Okay.
Yeah. And
wait, which one of those 2 you putting Edman in your future?
I don't think Fowler will be here next year.
Okay,
because his contract is up.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Edman, you see, is
Edman and Carlson would be your other 2 switch hitters.
That's the one. I mean,
now I know where you're going with this, but here's the thing with Edman. Cardinals don't have anybody close to being ready to play the middle infield in the organization. I mean, not even close. Edmundo Sosa is 25, and he still hasn't made it yet. So they don't have anybody immediately ready to step in. So Edman is your guy unless you spring a leak and you have to go get somebody. Now, this is where Nolan Gorman comes into play.
Right.
Because you may not need a third baseman for a while. And by the way, you have 2 other guys in your organization who can play third. Montero is one, and the other name escapes me, that are both third basemen. So if you really spring a leak, you've got some help there. And it also frees up those 2 guys in case you want to make a move. But Montero is intriguing because he hits for average and power. Gorman, in his brief tour of duty in the minors, hit for power, and then he hit the wall, so he had to kind of get out of line and start all over again. but they do have options, which leads me back to the fact that if they need a second baseman, they'll be in a position to get one. And as we've noticed, there isn't a big market for second baseman as far as price is concerned.
And Colton Wong's still out there.
He's
He's still out there, and until a team, I don't want to say becomes desperate, because Colton Wong is a 2-time Gold Glove winning.
One time.
He didn't.
He should have won the first time, but he didn't win.
I thought he's got 2. I thought he got the last 2 years.
I thought it was
Didn't he win? He won this year. He won in 2020 and he won in 2019.
He won this year?
I thought he won this year.
Okay. You know, you're probably right.
I could have swore that he won. Yeah, I could have swore that he won it this year, but you still have him out there. And I don't want to say a team gets desperate, but you're seeing the market for all of these free agents starting to get closer, and it's starting to close a bit.
Yeah.
That he could still come back to St. Louis. But regardless of that, you have just go through. I mean, all reports say, and we'll get to it in a bit, but all reports say Yadi Molina is going to be re-signing with the Cardinals this week at some point. You now have a multi-time Gold Glove winner at third base, a Gold Glove winner at first base, a Gold Glove nominee at short, a Gold Glover in left field, and a potential Gold Glover in center field with Harrison Bader.
Two-time Gold Glove.
So he's won the last 2 years, and then whatever Dylan Carlson's going to bring you in right field. That the defense, I mean, I don't even know if, when you look at it, if defense matters at second base anymore with all of the other Gold Gloves you have all over the field. I don't think you need to, you could put anybody there just for a bat. I mean, Matt Carpenter could see time at second base again this year if that's the case with all. You know what? You and I have talked a few times since the trade happened, and you keep bringing up the left-handed bat and the need for the left-handed bat. Matt Carpenter's still under contract for one more year. He's a left-handed bat. And
he's a DH now.
He should be a DH. And if that's the only way I see him being on the roster opening day, is if the DH is still here.
Here's the thing though with Carpenter. And I think because we like him, but every year there's a different reason on why we think he's going to be ready to go. Different trainer, working with his dad, getting stronger, you name it.
This offseason is batting gloves.
Yeah,
batting gloves this offseason.
So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons on why we think that this is going to be his year. Has anybody checked the birth certificate? He's gotten a lot older.
He has.
And he is now a 267, 268 career hitter.
Career. Make sure you say career, because that's not what it's been the last 3 years.
No, it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had the 1 year where he hit 36 home runs. And he hit them in bunches.
In the second half, yeah.
But he hasn't really given you what you were going back to 6-7 years ago. And I just don't see how we can put our eggs in that hope basket when things have been regressively going in the wrong direction.
So regardless of that, and I mean, we can circle back on Matt Carpenter, but give me your best Bob Ramsey impression right now, and give me your lineup for what the Cardinals are going to go with, because that's something since Friday night, since it became, 95 to 100% sure that this trade was going through on Friday night, I immediately started thinking about what that lineup would look like.
I think you posted one Friday night, didn't you?
I didn't post one. I posted asking for one because I kept thinking of where you put guys and how you best build that lineup. And I think it starts with, I think you see what Dylan Carlson can do in that leadoff spot, and you go downward from there. I don't know what you do with that number 2, unless if you go Carlson, Arenado, Goldschmidt, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to
go Edman, Carlson, Arenado, Goldschmidt, DeYoung, Yadi, whoever you
got O'Neill in there, and Fowler,
I hit Fowler 6th. I hit him 6th, hit Yadi 7th, and Bader 8th.
And there's so much potential there with Tyler O'Neill and the power that he can bring you that, we talk about Matt Carpenter every year. We're hearing what new things he's doing. I mean, that seems to be the case the first few years of Tyler O'Neill, that we hear what he's worked on, but then the strikeouts come back and get him.
Here are two guys that probably have the light on them, not by the fans, but by, I think, management. I think O'Neill and Bader, there's no more where we're waiting on them. Hey, either do it or somebody else is going to play. Either do it or Lane Thomas or Carlson going to play every day because we need to give.
I think Carlson plays every day, no matter what. To start the
but
year, I
what
mean,
I'm
he
saying-
ended your year in the playoffs as your cleanup hitter. I think you tell him, you know what? Hey, bring your glove. We'll let you know which direction to run in the outfield. But you're going to be batting. You know what? Yeah, you're going to be batting in the first inning. We'll tell you which direction to go.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I mean, as far as O'Neill and Bader, they're going to have to produce because if they don't, then Lane Thomas is going to play.
Right.
Or we're going to get a look, and Justin Williams is going to get a look.
How much pressure comes off of guys like O'Neill and Bader, though, now that you add another bat like Arenado into the lineup, and it kind of pushes them all back? Because now you're not asking Tyler O'Neill to be that fourth or fifth hitter that's hitting 30 home runs a year.
I think it's more pressure because of the fact that, okay, you run out of excuses. Playing time is going to be at a premium now. And as I just said, if you're not going to produce, then we're going to find somebody else because the waiting period for their development is over. We've had too many off seasons saying, boy, you know, if he can just do this. So now that season is here. So I think there's more pressure for them to produce because the leash is going to be shorter because they have more options.
The Colorado side to this is you kind of feel for that fan base. I know you talked with was it Thomas Harding?
And you can hear him on the website.
Yeah, that'll be up on the website if it's not up there already. But you talk with him about just what goes through this, and this wasn't because they were looking to dump salary. It wasn't because they were looking to rebuild. It is purely because the GM of the team pissed off the best player that they might have ever had in franchise history, and they had to get rid of him. To the fact where you look at the details of the trade, that right now for sure we know Austin Gombard, we know John Torres are going to Colorado with two other names that I don't know if they've come out yet or if you've heard them yet. I know we've heard rumored trades or names, but I haven't. I don't know them all. But the Cardinals are also getting back $50 million in this deal to help pay some of the Arenado contract. So not only are the Cardinals getting a great player like Nolan Arenado, they're also getting $50 million to help, I guess, take some of that pressure off the salary cap. And it just shows you how badly they needed to part ways in Colorado.
But, you know, this sounds to me, and you can blame the general manager all you want. I think I'm going to blame ownership. You allow the owner allow the general manager to have whatever issue it is to the point where the highest paid player on our team and one of the highest paid in the game, I'm moving him because these two don't get along. Doesn't an owner put him in a room and have a sit down with him? And maybe they did. I don't know. But it just seems that because we've heard so little in talking to Thomas Harding, you know, the Cardinals always give the courtesy of having a year-end review of what took place. They didn't do that. Colorado didn't do it. They have not heard from the Colorado Rocky organization since last year when the season was in play. So I know the owner sent out a letter saying things are going to be changing, but that's nothing like having to sit down to address direct issues. And so I would kind of blame their direction. They lost the best PR guy in baseball, in my opinion, in Warren Miller, or one of the best. And he's moved on. And without that sort of stability, I think it's going to make it even more difficult for the fans to accept what's going on in Colorado. Hey, listen, the baseball team is raised a white flag. The football team is looking for another quarterback for all you Drew Lock fans. Your hockey team is okay. Your Nuggets are really good, but they're one player short. By the way, I was telling this to Frank earlier today. I know we talked about Bradley Beal's comment about they were so bad they couldn't guard a parked car. Somebody told me a better one today. They said they're so bad that the Nets are so bad that, or I'm sorry, Michael Porter so bad he couldn't guard the people in the parked car with the doors locked.
I have not seen a Nuggets game yet this year, but we'll talk.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we'll talk Wizards Nets at the end of this. So before that, about 24 hours before the Arenado trade happened, news broke that Adam Wainwright was coming back for another year. First, it was announced he was going to the Blues, but then we realized
what channel was that on?
That was Channel 4. Yeah. So you can text Doug and ask him who was responsible for that cryon on the bottom, but Adam Wainwright did have some fun with it, and we heard from him Friday morning. He had a Zoom press conference announcing his return to the Cardinals. As John Mozeliak said back in November, December, that January was going to be the new December. It got very close to February being the new December, but in a matter of really about 36 hours, he re-signed Adam Wainwright, got Nolan Arenado, and news also came out that Yadi Molina was probably going to be re-signing with the team after the Caribbean series was over. He's having too much fun down there playing for Puerto Rico. He didn't want to have to sign a contract with the Cardinals and stop playing down there. How much, or I guess how far along do you think the Cardinals and John Mozeliak were with the Arenado trade to bring Adam Wainwright back? Because Thursday morning, there were rumors that the Padres had offered Adam Wainwright a deal, and then Adam Wainwright comes back. And we heard him on Friday. You and I were both in there when he's talking about the fact that he's playing for a winner. He wants a chance to win another World Series before he retires. Do you think they told him, hey, listen, we're going to be getting Nolan Arenado. Come, re-sign with us. We'll have Arenado within a day.
I think you're right. I think he was probably made aware of how close they were. Maybe he even made a phone call. I don't know if that would be deemed tampering, but to say, hey, look, man, this is a great place to be, because we know that Arenado has people that he knows on the Cardinals. And I'm sure no matter how they recruiting didn't hurt. So I'm sure that Wainwright probably knew that they were close to making an announcement.
So where do you rank this offseason for Mo now that all those three things happen on the final weekend of January?
Well, they've all had different impacts. I mean, the Goldschmidt trade was one that kind of took us by surprise. Holiday re-signing was a good one. He's had different types of off seasons. The free agency has not been good to him, though.
No. But who was the last big free agent that made an impact with the Cardinals? Name me what big free agent did Walt Jocketty sign?
No, you're right.
That's never been the case in St. Louis.
I'll tell you the last good free agent was Carlos Beltran.
Okay.
Carlos Beltran, even though his 2 years here were two of the best years I've ever seen a Cardinal player have from a consistency, I thought Carlos Beltran was a six-tool player. He could run, he could hit for average, he could hit for power, he could throw, but he was a gentleman. He was as consummate of a professional as we've had come through St. Louis in a long time.
And before that, you got Berkman before that on the free, but those are also two guys who
short-term
guys at the end of their career.
Yeah, but as far as getting a guy in his prime that just didn't want to play in another city, boy, Joe, I can't think of anybody that jumps out at me off the top of my head. I'm sure there's somebody, but nobody really stands out, which let's go back to my point. He's been better at trades than he has with regard to free agent signings. And, even there have been some trades that have been some clunkers. I think everybody knew, or most people in baseball knew, that Khalil Green had some emotional issues that really kind of shortened his career. I think everybody knew Todd Wigington was not a good guy. There was another free agent signing that we look back on and we just like
Brett Cecil.
Yes. I had people in Toronto when I called to get the lowdown on him. He said, well, he's an interesting person, and interesting doesn't always mean committed. So I had to think about that for a minute. And I said, well, what else? He said, well, he's an interesting person. And then he said, you'll see how many good buddies he has on the team, or what kind of guy he is. Now, in fairness to Brett Cecil, nothing but nice to me, very professional with me. We even talked we talked more hockey. And once he started to get his mojo in that brief period of time, he was very detailed in what was going on in his life. So I had no problem with him. It was just unfortunate he couldn't get it done.
And he always talked to the media, and he always showed up too.
Whether he had a 3-pitch save or a 3-run inning, he was there.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
He no highlights from his time here, but he showed up, and
Yeah.
I guess that's the best thing you could say about him. He won't be a Hall of Famer, and in fact, nobody will be a Hall of Famer in 2021. The ceremony that they'll have in Cooperstown later this summer will be to honor those that were inducted in 2020. We talked about it last week, and we touched on the Curt Schilling part of it and kind of debated back and forth about that, but it came out nobody made the vote. Nobody made the 75% to get into the class this year, and I'm happy to see that Scott Rowland increased so much in the vote. I'm still a little surprised that he didn't make it, because in a year where there was no slam dunk candidate, you would have thought maybe one guy would have. But it's just not a good look for the Hall of Fame to not have anybody go in.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because we've been used to it more than anything else. But, they've run in a lot of guys over the last few years. And everybody, even though we think he's a good player, is not a Hall of Famer. And I think what we're doing is scraping the surface of that next tiered player who, he's a good player. Hall of Famer? No. Well, let me think about that. And I think that's what we're running into. One of the primary definitions of a Hall of Famer, if you have to think about him being in, then he probably shouldn't be in.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at that point where we're starting to think about some guys who are right there on the cusp. And there's a reason why they've been on the ballot that long, because there were people better than them that were getting in before them. So now we've kind of hit a wall with regard to the ones who are still on the ballot compared to the ones that are coming on the ballot. And I know Bob Costas, when this announcement was made that they weren't going to have anybody in, he said, well, next year they could have a rogues gallery worth of guys that are going to be on the ballot. And
who is on it?
A-Rod, David Ortiz, and there's another one that's got an issue. I can't think of who it is. But A-Rod automatically is disqualified.
Mm-hmm.
David Ortiz acts like his name was never on a list anymore.
Right.
He never tested positive. And I think the reason why those guys get so much mileage is because they're still in the face of everyone on TV. And that's a concern I have, where we're losing guys who, because they're not on TV and they're not out there, that they don't get consideration, and they might have been really good players.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you do anything about it, because if you look at every sport, they're having that issue. The NFL, I think, it's just gone overboard in trying to make sure as many guys who are on TV get in the Hall of Fame. Some deserve it. I think the one that kind of jumps out at me, how's Jimmy Johnson in the Hall of Fame and Tom Flores isn't? They both won the same amount of Super Bowls. And that's a great commercial that I think it's Coors has with Tom Flores. He's the first Hispanic coach in the NFL to win. And he won with some really good teams. Some of them were misfits, some of them were cast off, some of them were good draft choices. But, when you win 2 Super Bowls in that short period of time, that's a statement. Mm-hmm. And he's in. I mean, he's not in, and Jimmy Johnson's in, because Jimmy Johnson's on TV every Sunday.
Mm-hmm. We will we'll actually find out who makes the Hall of Fame this weekend. Saturday is it's not going to be like it has been in the past. In fact, the voters have already voted on it.
I heard your visit with Howard.
Yeah.
By the way, you did a really nice job, and Howard has been at this for as long as anyone, and I have great respect for Howard over the years of him covering the game. And here's something for me. I think Howard Balzer should be considered. There's 2 people, writers-wise, who I think should be considered, if not inducted, and that's Jim Thomas and Howard Balzer, who has been more consistent with covering this league in an objective manner. I mean, he's never worked for a team. He's not in somebody's pocket. He works his ass off in getting information. And whether you agree with him or not, that's not the point. The fact is that he's been there. Jim Thomas never missed a practice at Rams Park. I never heard of a person that was upset with Jim Thomas because of something he wrote. He was fair. He was objective. He covered 2 sales. He covered some of the worst teams in the history of the game. He covered the best team, one of the most explosive team in the history of the game, and was able to maintain a real steady pace and how he did things. I think he should be considered to be in the Hall of Fame.
I have a feeling Howard will probably get to present Torrey Holt for at least another year, maybe 2 or 3 more years.
I think this will be the last time he has to do it.
Do you think Torrey makes it?
Why not?
I think it's a tough class this year.
Calvin Johnson in.
Yeah, I think it's just a tough class this year. I think Torrey will make it when the next round of wide receivers starts to come up.
That's
and
next
I think
year,
Torrey,
right?
it starts next year. Yeah, that's when you get guys like Anquan Bolden and other receivers. I think Steve Smith might be, but I think Torrey is above those guys. So I think Torrey
that's different. And this is where you don't want to see Torrey get caught in a vacuum, because the game really changed when Anquan Bolden started having 100-plus catches in a season, and the physical size of guys at that position started to change. And you hope Torrey doesn't get overlooked for that. I think this is the year, but I've been wrong before. I've kind of given up on trying to handicap what Hall of Famers do.
I know. He's told me the stories of the presentations he has to make for these guys. It would have. I'm sure he would have liked one. Who would he say? Is it Mike Chappell from Indianapolis got to present Peyton Manning in their
That's when that's when he could have saved the plane fare. He could have done that virtually, and I don't even think he could have done that virtually, and nobody would. If they would have just had his chair sitting there, with Peyton Manning on it, they would have been fine.
So Peyton Manning's gonna be in there, but yeah, that's this Saturday. They already did it. They did a Zoom. That's how they did. They did a Zoom presentation for it 2 weeks ago. Instead of meeting and locking themselves in a room for 14 hours the day before the Super Bowl and voting on it. So that'll be announced this weekend. And the Super Bowl this week, I was supposed to be waking up this morning in Tampa, Claibs. That's where I should be right now. Instead of being here at Mungenast Alton Toyota, but you know what? We'll do it all again next year in LA. But the Chiefs aren't even in Tampa. Yeah, the Chiefs aren't going to be in Tampa until Friday. That's when they will fly in for the game on Sunday, so they don't have to do all of the workouts at some high school or college in the area or some other facility, and it's just a completely different way that they are going about it this year with COVID. And I have only talked to one person, media member, that's actually down in Tampa this week. There's nobody. They're having a Radio Row. No clue who's going to be there.
Well, you're going to do your best to try and give us a flavor of Radio Row, but it's just the way the game's working right now. Now it's our hope that we can get back to some sort of routine that we're more comfortable with. But I think the game brings some interesting tones to it that we're not hearing about. And I'm a huge believer in offensive line play. And with the way Tampa rushes a quarterback, and now Kansas City without their left tackle, and Kelsey's not that blocker. So they're going to have to probably put a guy in the backfield. What's the fullback, 42, I think. I can't think of his name. He's going to probably have to play a lot, because the way Tampa rushes, it's going to be interesting. Now, there are a lot of firsts in our society this year. First African-American referee crew, first female going to referee in a Super Bowl. First time we've had 3 coordinators of color on one team with Tampa, and Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, the special teams coach, is African-American, and defensively it's
Todd Bowles.
A lot of firsts. And I think Tampa's got a little bit more giddy up in them than people are giving them credit for. Now, with that said, if Kansas City can figure out how to block up front, they're going to have Clyde Edwards-Helaire healthy or healthier. I don't know about – have you heard anything about Watkins?
No.
They get him back. But although the other kid, Harden, has done a really good job.
Oh, yeah.
They got some weapons. Now, on the other side of that coin, Steve Spagnuolo is going to have his hands full because he likes to blitz, and Tom Brady lives off of you blitzing. So, and there's not a blitz he hasn't seen. So I don't know what their game plan is in getting to the quarterback, but they better have one.
Spags has had some success in his career going against Tom Brady in Super Bowls. So he'll have, like you said, I think that offensive line of the Chiefs is going to really have their hands full with what the Buccaneers can bring with that front four. It's going to be a matter of how quickly Patrick Mahomes can get that ball out to guys like Tyreek Hill or Hartman, and that's what they're going.
And
they're
he's
not,
so mobile, and we've seen him throw from different angles. I mean, he's a very creative passer. So in that situation, I'm not sure if it's going to be as much of a problem for him as one might think, because he does get rid of it quickly and he does get with it, not in always a traditional manner.
So you mentioned all the coordinators in the game. Another one on the Chiefs side of it, Eric Bieniemy, did not get one of the head coaching jobs that's out there. We have seen press conferences from Dan Campbell with the Lions, and I can't even remember what the name of the guy in the Eagles, what his name is. That was boom goes the dynamite bad. His introductory press conference last week.
And you know where it comes from? A lot of teams have policies where they don't let their coaches talk to the media. I get it, because I've seen some coaches talk themselves out of jobs. But when you don't have that ring experience of being in front of 20, 30 people, cameras going, questions coming at you, I think that it sometimes puts you at a disadvantage when you do have your moment, which leads me to believe that when they talk about Bieniemy not interviewing well, he couldn't have been any worse than these two guys.
No.
Because if you're a good coach, you have to be able to communicate. And apparently he's on the same page with his coach, Andy Reid, and the offensive players. So, I'll say it again, I think it's all bullshit, the way this whole thing has been handled. And I'm waiting to hear the next batch of excuses on why this is the way it is, where none of these guys got jobs. And the one guy they gave one to, great guy, been around, earned the opportunity. But when it's over for him, he'll be 70 years old.
Yeah. You're talking about the guy, the Ravens coordinator that they just hired at down in Houston.
He's a good football guy. I know when he's at Vanderbilt. I was just coming in and we crossed paths because there was a woman that went to Vanderbilt.
A lot of your stories go this direction. So keep going.
Getting to know her, and she was on Vandy's campus, and that's the first time I met him. He was an upperclassman, and we both ended up okay. I don't know if he married her or anything, but she wasn't a marrying type. Neither was I at that time.
I don't know where to transition to that, but
how about the St. Louis Blues?
I was gonna go to the Stafford trade, but
and congratulations to Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes used to be a PR intern with the Rams, and he was one of the guys who went to LA with them after they left St. Louis, and he was on the operations side. And this is what I'm going to suggest to all. I look like Don Cherry here. Hey, for all you kids at home, if there's a job you want in sports, don't try and get that job be it the first one. Get in the system, get in the organization, and learn the organization. And believe it or not, there'll be postings that'll come up, and you might be better suited and better prepared for those jobs once you get into the system. I always remind people about there was a guy in St. Louis that started off working in the ticket office, and he stuck around long enough for somebody thought he could do something else, and it was Mike Shannon. That's where he started. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of stories like that. But
Mo, look at Mo.
Mo was a batting practice pitcher.
Yeah. And that he got that job. Didn't he? He got that job because he gave some sort of good tip to a guy about fishing or something. And
I don't think Mo was fishing. I don't think Mo's a fisherman.
I saw the story I saw brought up over the weekend that Mo got his start with the Rockies throwing batting practice and
left-handed too. I wish I could have stepped in on him.
Kept working his way up through that, and now he's making big moves.
Mo has one. Do we have time for one quick?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I just saw Jamie.
So
I just
Don
saw Jamie
Zimmer.
Burkhart walking around there behind us. So I told him to come over here and sit down with us.
Yeah.
So he's going to make his way over here in a second and come talk to us about some of the deals they got going out here.
So Don Zimmer, longtime baseball man, probably a guy that would be in that category of coaches that could be Hall of Famers. Great science dealer. Anyway,
I thought he's not in the Hall of Fame.
no, for what?
For what he's done coaching. For what he did coaching.
They don't have any coaches in the Hall of Fame. So anyway, he kind of took a liking to Mo. And Mo tells a story. He says, I wasn't making a lot of money and just got married. And Don Zimmer liked to play the horses. So I'm not sure whether they were in spring training or somewhere they were at a racetrack. So he takes Mo to the racetrack with him. So he knew Mo didn't have a lot of money to be betting horses, but, gave him a ride to the track. So he gives Mo $100, gives him two $100 bills. He said, hey, here's $100 for you and go bet this $100 for me on this horse, and you can make some money too. Well, takes the money, makes the bet. Horse was a long shot. Horse came in and won the race. So Zimmer said, well, that ought to put some money in your pocket. Mo never bet. He put that $100 in his pocket. Just and when he told Zimmer what he did, and what could Zimmer do? But that's one of my favorite Mo stories.
We didn't bring this up at the beginning, but you mentioned spring training, and you saw the tweet yesterday from Buster Only that
Only. Another Vanderbilt guy.
Yeah,
didn't meet him though when I was on campus.
He's
a little younger.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought he was a little younger. But it looks like there's talks now about what they're going to do with spring training and when they're going to move it or when the season's actually going to start. So what are you hearing?
Well, I was told that the union wants to push back and say no, but no with the caveat of here's what we like to suggest. So it's not an emphatic hell no, we're not doing it. It's no, we don't like that plan. Here's what we would like to return the offer with. That's what I was told. But the problem with that is this is a union that has a hard time coming in for a landing when you've been given clearance from the tower to land.
And so for those people that didn't hear what the deal was, spring training would be pushed back to start on March 28th. The opening day for baseball would be April 22nd. So it would be a condensed spring training. They would still have spring training at both places. And then it'd be a 154 game schedule that they would be looking at, but the players would get paid for 162 games. Yes. So I don't know where the pushback is. It would be a November postseason.
Yeah, and here's where the players feel like this is going to be an issue that will be held against them when they get into negotiation, and it doesn't give teams incentive to sign more players, free agency wise, or create a better competition in the market. I disagree with that because we've had too many teams that have already stepped back this year anyway. But, it sounds logical, which is why they won't do it.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie Burkhart.
Hey, guys.
Us. Hey, how's Iggy doing?
Thanks for having me here. Oh, good old Iggy. Good old Kenny's doing well. Hey, what do you think?
Car too?
No, he does not. He's a barbecue grill.
Oh, yeah. That's what I heard.
Barbecue grill. What do you think, though, about the expanded playoffs? The players will want a piece of that.
Yeah, I think if they feel there's enough in it pool-wise, I think you're right. I think their argument to me is flimsy in saying, well, this doesn't create incentive to sign players. I think there's more to gain on the back end of this. Mm-hmm. But these guys are just looking right in front right now, and it just says that they got some work to do. Because the one thing that they cannot afford to do is go through an entire season and not have a collective bargaining agreement in place, because fans will walk away from this thing and never look back.
Right.
So
are they letting the new CBA get ahead of themselves?
Yeah, I think so. And that's why here we are 3 weeks away from the designated day for spring training. We don't even know if we got a designated hitter or not.
Right.
So
in the proposal, was the designated hitter given to the National League?
Haven't heard.
I was going to say, I didn't see that. It's
okay.
Yeah. So what kind of deals you got going on here?
Joe, we got all kinds of deals. Let's not talk deals. I want to talk Cardinal baseball.
You want to talk Cardinals?
Hey, I want to talk Jordan Kyrou and baseball.
You like Cairo, huh?
Well, all of a sudden, out of the blue, huh?
He has
You're
a lot of
big hockey.
tools. Yeah,
Yeah.
he has a lot of tools. I like his.
You forgot the green.
He's a
memo.
good skater.
I
He's a
know.
good skater. He's playing. Everybody says he's playing a lot of confidence. You
Yeah.
know what? The puck's following him.
Yeah, heads up.
I mean,
though.
last night he had a couple scoring opportunities because he's going to the right places.
Mhm.
See, I don't think this is a game where you can shoot from the top of the circle and score anymore. You got to be in that home plate area is what they call it. And he has no problem. It's kind of like, and I hate to use this analogy because Tarasenko and Brett Hall were the same way. They would just kind of float, never in the same
Circle,
place
like a
longer than
shark.
2 seconds. And they always had the stick on the ice ready to shoot.
Mhm.
That's kind of where he is. And he's now finding the open areas where he can get a shot off. And he's got a quick shot. And that's one of the other things that makes it work for him.
Seems like he's always got his head up too.
That's the other thing. One of the mistakes I see a lot of kids make is they keep their head down because they're looking for the stick and the puck. You got to have a feel for the game. And that's why the Ryan O'Reillys and some of the other great players stay after practice to continue to have feel. And this is a young man who certainly seems like he has feel. So I'm happy about him. I'm ecstatic about Justin Falk because I'm telling you, about this time last year, I'm looking around and saying, well, who thought this was a good
Where
idea?
we get that guy? Right.
But
How do we do that?
he's been very consistent. He's been he's not flashy. He doesn't do anything flashy. He's the master of the 5-foot pass.
Mhm.
And he's another guy that has his head up all the time. And one of the things I noticed about him, he gets himself in between the puck and the puck carrier.
Yeah.
You know, not in a flashy manner, but he always denies guys passes. He does little things that keeps him engaged, and he seems to be on the ice at the right time. Was he a +10 now?
Yeah.
And
He
that's
was leading.
pretty
He was
good.
+4 that one game.
Exactly.
What about Parayko? How hurt is he? Is he hurt? Is he?
I guess we'll know more today. You know, they
Yeah.
always like to get a guy back here to get
before
reevaluated.
they do it.
I hope it's not long term.
Okay.
Although
So
the
why don't
kid,
you get a soda?
although the kid Nikola has played well. I like him.
We'll take two.
You guys
I
are
like
just
him
going
too.
at it.
I like him too. I like the Blues defense
Yeah.
core. And Corey Krug Torrey Krug is now starting to fit in a little bit better. You know, he's another guy that finds spots on the ice to play in because he's not a big guy, so he's not going to overpower anybody, but he's sneaky as far as how he gets around. So overall, it was a good weekend. Now I got to remind you, this was the
Ducks.
the Ducks,
Yeah.
and they're terrible.
Right.
And
They were
what do you think?
They were 3 for something on the power play with the goal.
What do you think Backus, Shattenkirk, and Getzlaf are thinking right now? Now, here's the thing. Backus and Shattenkirk wanted to go there. They signed contracts to go there. Getzlaf was stuck being there.
Got put there. Right.
And what about John Gibson? I'm going to tell you this now. When the trade deadline hits,
He's a guy.
he's going to be a guy a lot of teams are going to kick the tires on.
Okay.
And I'm sure they're going to have a fire sale at some point in Anaheim. If they play another weekend like we just saw, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. So if they bring Yadi back for $8 million, and so that's $12 million off the books, and they bring Wainwright back for the same or maybe a little $2 million less, same incentives, that's $12 million bucks. The Arenado thing works out. Can they bring Colton Wong back for the $11 million? Or
No, that's
2
too
years
much.
for $8 million a year?
If they move another
Yeah,
if they can
yeah.
move Carpenter though, can they bring Wong back?
If Carpenter waives his no trade,
Yeah, he will.
Will he though? I mean, if you tell him, hey, you're going to be on the bench, maybe DHing, but you'll get a
well,
you'll
if they
get the
get a
pinch
DH,
hit.
if they get a DH,
If they get a DH, then
he's staying.
Carpenter stays.
I agree with you, Jamie. I think that once he found out the market, the $12 million they would have been overpaying.
Right.
Period. And he would say, well, that's business. That's the contract I signed. But it was a high risk, high reward.
Mhm.
Well, he took the high risk and he lost. So now if he goes back in line for what that position calls for, I think they could fit him. But the Cardinals are in no great hurry.
Right.
Now, the one plus it gives him is a left-handed bat. It also puts Edmund in a position where he can be your roving guy and he can get 300-400 at bats during the course of the year playing different positions.
Playing a little short, a little third,
Little
a little
short,
outfield,
yeah,
a
exactly.
little more second.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and it gives you real depth, which I think today you better have a bunch of guys who can pitch, first of all.
Mhm.
And you better have a versatile bench because the game is going to become a lot faster, and we're going to have some guys that are going to get hurt. Yeah. And with all the teams that don't have what I would call major league rosters, they've all stepped back. You have to take advantage of it. You have to just beat the tar out of some teams. Pittsburgh, you may lose once to them the whole season, twice the whole. If you lose to them 3 times, Schilt's going to be in trouble. They'll be calling for his head.
What do you think the late great Bob Gibson would say about a 6-man rotation?
Where'd you get these other 4 guys?
That's right. Why you got them?
Yeah, I need a guy just to give me one day off and I'll go back. I think though we're coming to that.
Yeah.
Because nobody can go 9 anymore.
Right.
So they figure, we get a couple of guys and give us 6, and then we can kind of rotate our bullpen a little bit. See, I think that what you're going to see is they're going to say, if you can give us 6 or 7, then we'll have a combination of, in our bullpen, a combination of 6 guys who will rotate every other game.
Okay.
3 guys.
Sure.
And so, but you're going to probably need what I think, instead of a closer, a fireman, a guy who can come in the 6th inning or 7th inning and put the fire out, then get that inning out, come back for the 7th, and now I got the 8th and 9th covered by my other 2 guys.
Deal with the other 6
but I think that guy is equally important as the closer. And that's what, and you remember Al Rabosky. Al Rabosky was a fireman.
Sure.
He'd come in earlier.
Right.
But now you ask a closer to go out in the 8th inning, he looks at you like you got an eye in the middle of your head.
Well,
so
they freeze.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So I think the game is subtly going to change in that direction, because the requirement of pitching is greater than it's ever been. It's also one because everybody is throwing 100 miles an hour. Everybody's arms blowing up. Mm-hmm. And that's the unfortunate. Folks, I'm going to tell you, and I'm doing my Don Cherry thing again. Hey, you kids at home, don't be relief pitchers, because by the time you're really good, your arm would have blown up and you would have had Tommy John surgery, and then you would have been released. I mean, how many times have we seen that?
Right.
And if a guy's good enough to get to arbitration, then he's had a hell of a career, let alone become a free agent, because most of these guys get hurt. These managers just use them up, and they've got nothing left.
Look how long it took Rosenthal to even bounce back after.
And he still doesn't have
Tommy
a job.
John. Right.
Still doesn't have
He's
a
still
job.
out. This year he's out again.
No, he's not. He hasn't.
No,
I thought he was with the Padres
He
still.
didn't resign yet.
Oh,
really?
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what he's waiting for. I don't know what the Padres are waiting for.
Yeah. Maybe they know something.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of things. We're seeing guys that are starting to have Tommy John for the second time, and we're seeing that happen. And I think that overall, it's a situation where, again, pitching is going to be taxed. We're going to have a lot of kids in pitching this year that had no business in the big leagues, but they got nobody else.
Right.
I mean, the Cardinals are so lucky that they had all those injuries and COVID,
And brought everybody
and they
up.
brought everybody up but Liberatore.
Mhm.
It's the only guy that didn't get any big league action.
Right.
So they got a lot of guys who have the real big league experience of being on a big league mound. Now, maybe it didn't go as well for them as they would have hoped for, but at least they got the experience and know what's going to be required when they go back. Jake Woodford was the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
With
yeah, you're right.
Gomber to Colorado, man.
Yeah. And here's the thing about Colorado. And this is why when the deal first came up last year, everybody said, let's put Hudson in the deal. Well, Hudson walks too many people. And Hudson would get his ball up. And when he gets ball up, the next thing you know, he was using new ball because they couldn't use that one anymore. So that's the thing where you have to make sure when you get a pitcher, he got to be down in the zone. He cannot be a guy's tricking guys up here because they jump all over that pitch.
Right. That's that whole 6-7 release point.
Exactly.
Or
Listen
more.
to this guy over here.
Oh,
Kittle.
You know? All right, I'll give you one more softball if we got a minute.
All right. Yeah.
What would your daughter say about, what was it, P. Reed picking up the ball or bouncing the ball this weekend? The golf? Would any bounce
You
the
know
ball or
what?
so?
I'm still.
Is it bad or good? I don't know enough about golf.
Well, see,
to know.
I'm kind of like, I was laughing. So I said, hell, I do that all the time. But I don't have that kind. But I think his reputation, because apparently he's not considered a good guy.
Right.
He'd been caught before, or the cloud was over his head. And this is the one sport where if there's any sense of threat and integrity, it goes with you for the rest of your life. VJ Singh can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that because of who it is, the spotlight was turned on him at a higher level But apparently he didn't need it because he won by enough strokes where that one penalty would not have cost him. But it's something that you just don't see a great deal. So we have any deals out here? If there's one thing,
salespeople about Sequoias.
There's one thing that people would need to know when they come in here, that they can go to any dealership, but this one has as many things to offer as anyone. What's the one thing that people take for granted now, especially they can shop on the internet and they've got so many different advantages here and there, but what's the one thing that's constant about this place?
The one thing that's constant about this place is the ability, whether you're here, over the internet, or however numbers want to be given to a customer, we do that. Whether if you just want an upfront appraisal, Joe wants to know what his Jeep's worth today. Give me the VIN, give me the miles, Joe. I'll tell you what it's worth within a couple $100. I just need to see it. We give you a price over the phone, over the internet, or if you're here.
Well, that was the time you didn't do that.
Oh yeah, you never worked the two numbers together. You gave a difference or you gave a payment. You never gave. My car's selling for X and the trade's worth Y, and that equals that. That's how everybody wants it now, and that's how we do it anytime. The
rental thing is a big deal now.
Yeah, right. Big rental and leasing, big time.
There you go. You heard.
Yeah, leasing. Listen,
you don't have to go to the airport to rent your car anymore.
You do not have to go to the airport to rent your car. We had our friend in a 4Runner, and yes, he did put. I never did tell you, but yes, he did put about 7,000 miles on that 4Runner.
Who's that?
Where did he go to Tijuana? Polo?
Oh, Polo.
Polo put about 7,000 miles.
He snuck out to Tijuana doing a road trip.
Man, he was going somewhere. He had something somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
that was funny, but
you might want to put him in a more gas efficient car for the 2021 season.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about the 2021 season. Anyway,
I agree.
It's great to have you guys here. Your daughter doing well?
Yeah, she's doing well. Good. She's in the car business, as you well know.
Right.
Working from home right now, waiting on her next assignment, but she seems to like it.
Good.
She won't tell me all the secrets about the car business. I think there must be some blood pact.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this. That's the other thing. Secrets of it's much more open world nowadays. There's really.
She said the same thing, and we're having dinner tonight, so I'll find out what she sees coming on the horizon. Because
we're going to go to digital pads. You're gonna be at your house with an iPad. I'm going to be over here with an iPad, and whether it's 50 miles or 500 miles, you're going to sign, and we're going to deliver the car to you. I already got the car. It's all coming. 19 has just sped up the world as far as customer. Events and more of this type of activity too.
Well, you know what?
That's why we're happy to see you guys here, bringing your bright, smiley eyes and smiles to this place.
I wish I could bring warmer temperatures, but
I'm
gonna leave that up to him.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to Joe.
You're the one heading down to Florida, so
at some point.
Yeah.
At some point.
Well, good. Well, guys,
Jamie,
thanks.
good to see you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
All right.
We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Before we do get out of here, any words on John Chaney, the passing of the longtime
Temple head coach? I had a great night with him. Last Final Four, it was him. I think I told you the story. We had all these great black coaches in a hotel suite, and he was there. And everybody kept ribbing him about Calipari. Remember, he told Calipari he was going to kill him. Yeah. And the thing is, when he said it, everybody who knew him said, he is capable of doing it. Don't let his age fool you. Very dedicated man. He was a school teacher for a long time and kind of stumbled into coaching. Great vision. Had some really competitive teams. Was a mentor to a lot of other coaches, and certainly be missed. I forgot he'd been out of the game for a while. He died at 86. He coached well into his 60s. So good man, though. Good man, and he'll be missed. And I know he touched a lot of people.
You had Alex Ferrario on earlier. That'll be up on the website tomorrow.
Man,
Thomas
we got so
Harding,
much stuff
Rob
going
Fisher.
on. Rob Fisher. We'll do Rammer later in the week, and somebody else we got. We're going to have Judge Annette Eckert talk about teen court, and that's something, folks, you all should really want to check out. Great thing that they're doing over here in Illinois, and hopefully it'll spread around the country.
And then, so I'm doing a virtual radio row of sorts. So
who all you have on there?
So I have Ross Tucker coming up in an hour from now. I'm actually going to.
You might want to get out of here. Then.
Yeah, so we'll have that coming up, and we'll be putting that up on the YouTube page and Facebook. We'll go live with that. I have Mark Schlereth, Otis Anderson coming up this week.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Nick Hardwick from the WWE, Kevin Owens, and
you and this
Bianca
wrestling
Belair.
thing.
You know what? Hey, the Special Olympics and the WWE worked together at the Super Bowl the past few years now, and they set me up with some pretty good guests. And the one I'm really excited about tomorrow morning, a young man by the name of Chris Nikic, who just finished. He's an Ironman triathlete.
That's what you want to be when you grow up, right?
I would like to do one in 2022. Chris Nikic just completed one a few months ago. First participant with Down syndrome to complete
I
an
remember
Ironman.
that. Yeah.
I'll be interviewing him tomorrow morning as well. So,
well, you know who runs Special? Tony Wiley. Used to be with the Rams and the Washington Redskins, or the Washington football team, and Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans, and Tennessee Titans. He's been with all those. He's now running the Special Olympics.
Yeah, so we have I have at least I should end up about 10 to 15 interviews this week that we'll put all up on the website. So
no shows from Mars Venus or anything like that in Tampa. Being in Tampa.
I don't get to go down there. So no.
One year that you probably should have wanted to go.
You know what? This is the one that, of all the cities that I've been to the past few years, this is the one that I've never been to Tampa or had the opportunity to. I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't.
You just want to go to St. Pete where they roll the sidewalks off the sundown.
This is the one I was just, of all the cities coming up and all the cities I've been to, if I looked at the list, I'd go, okay, that's one. I'm fine.
All right, best place
to
go is we're inside of our last couple of minutes here. Best Super Bowl venue for you.
Best Super Bowl venue. I mean, I say this every year. So Houston, I feel like Houston was the best Super Bowl I think I've been to. Atlanta was close to number 2. Last year in Miami was the experience down there. They didn't have their shit together. It was terrible last year in Miami.
That's surprising considering all the events that they have.
They had a lot of events. Getting there and getting around the city was awful. Atlanta and Houston, I feel like it was a great time. Minnesota would have been good. It was just so damn cold.
Yeah, they should never have a Super Bowl in Minnesota, Detroit, or Jacksonville.
Yeah, I was
at the one in Jacksonville.
I've heard terrible things about the one in Jacksonville.
You give them another chance by now, they might have it.
I will say Miami last year was not that fun. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for us here from Mungenast Alton Toyota, Mungenast Burkhart Alton Toyota here at 850 Home Rabs Parkway in Alton, Illinois. Lots of stuff coming up on Claibs Online all week long. So make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, or just go to the website, Claibs Online, each and every day. So we will have everything up there all week long. For Jamie Burkhart, for Mike Claiborne, I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Mungenast Alton Toyota, Mungenast St. Louis Acura, and sponsored by Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. Find him online at thehomeloanexpert.com. Talk to you later.